There are numerous ways you can break down and present the final retail cuts of a pork carcass. Let's first explore the method by which we try to maximize the meat yield. First, we remove the tenderloin by following the curvature of the hip joint and separating the muscle from the spine. Once the cut has been initiated, you can pull down the tenderloin clean. Then, we separate the shoulder by making a clean and straight cut in between the 5th and the 6th rib. This will ensure that the belly we generate is uniform and straight. Then we remove the middle or the saddle, the primal that contains both the belly and the pork loin, by making a clean straight cut that will pass through the last joint of the carcass's spine. Lastly, we break down the ham from the hind leg by making a clean straight cut under the dimple of the ham leg. This typically sits 4 inches down from the pig's rear knee. Here you have the 3 major primals of hog carcass: the shoulder, the middle, and the ham. We break down the shoulder further by first removing the pata front or the foreleg. This is done by cutting above the elbow and using a bandsaw or a handsaw or even a cleaver knife separated cleanly. Then we remove the rib shoulder. This is done by following the bone structure of the carcass. It is highly recommended to put at least half an inch of meat with the ribs to make it more sellable. Then we remove the remaining leg bone from the picnic shoulder. Then, we remove the shoulder blade from the shoulder butt. We make a clean incision following the contour of the shoulder blade, and then we push the shoulder bone upwards, creating a clean separation between the meat and the bone. We now break down the ham leg by first removing the hip bone. We will present this later as sinigang cut for our final retail display, so make sure to have half to 1 inch layer of meat on top of this T-bone to ensure sellability. For this style of cut, we will remove the femur bone cleanly. Ensure no meat is left from the femur bone to maximize meat yield. This is excellent for broth, especially for ramen. Now, we process the middle or the saddle. We do this by first removing the suet or the lard fat. You can do this in your ground meat. Just make sure you control the fat to meat ratio. Now, create a guideline for separating the pork loin from the belly. The largest and smallest pork loin eyes should be cut whole, so the guideline would naturally be slanted. With the bandsaw or handsaw, separate the pork loin from the belly. Now we proceed with breaking down the carcass with the goal of maximizing retail profit margin. We start by first removing the tenderloin, following the same procedure earlier. We separate the shoulder from the middle by now cutting between the third and fourth rib to optimize the higher value belly and pork loin. We separate the middle from the ham. Take note that we follow the contour of the ham and include the entire flank to the middle, again to optimize the portion of the higher value belly and pork loin. We follow the earlier procedure in separating the ham from the pig's hind leg. Now, you will be presented with three major primals: the shoulder, the middle, and the ham. Note how much bigger the middle is compared to the earlier breakdown method. Now we break down the shoulder further. Earlier, we made a clean separation between the shoulder blade and the bone. This time, we will ensure that the shoulder bone has half to 1 inch of layer of meat on top of it to make it more sellable. We can actually make this cut into pork steaks as well. We break down the ham using the same approach as before, making sure that we leave half to 1 inch of layer of meat for better sellability. We now hand cut the pork loin. For the Philippine market, we want our pork chop to be around half an inch thick. Make clean straight cuts from the skin down to the bones for the entire length of the pork loin. Use a bandsaw to cut only the bones and separate each piece of loin. Next, we hand cut the belly. This is done by performing alternate bone-in and boneless belly slices until we arrive at the last usable and presentable belly. The rest of the belly can be trimmed and turned into lechon kawali, and the remaining trim can be used as adobo cut or for ground pork. Now, here's the entire retail cuts from half a carcass.